Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you are watching the second CAA African Cross Country Championships here at the Kierboom Park in Cape Town.
And the drums of Africa beat in the background as the young bucks line up. These are the guys of the future, the junior men, 8 kilometers, 4 laps, and they set off like racehorses.
Oh, yes, indeed. And we have South African Tumisang. He won the trials in fine form in Potchefstroom, and he said he's very privileged to be here, and he looks like he's a man with a mission right in front there with the Kenyans and the Ethiopians.
Well, Tumisang Manatla is a man with a big future, and he's certainly not afraid to mix it up with the big guys from Kenya, but it is very, very early days, and of course cross-country run is a war of attrition over the 8 lap.
And in front there we have the champion from last year from Kenya, Japhet Kuria, as well as William Setonuk, who's also a very, very promising runner.
Once again, it's the battle between Ethiopia and Kenya, but there are Eritreans and all sorts of other countries, Uganda and a South African in that lead group. But as they go out, the country's getting rougher. It's not the soft rugby fields. It is the very rough underfoot, grassy areas and lots and lots of sand there. And this is very hard going.
It is very hard going. It's lots of sand and water, and then they have sharp turns and all of that. But if you look at runners that came here last year, like the Kenyans, they already know the course as well as the South Africans. So one would think that, they are comfortable and they are ready to run fast times.
It's amazing that you can have a cross-country course like this right in the middle of the city. It's in between the suburbs. It's just fantastic.
It does look like countryside, but unfortunately it's not a very easy course.
Plenty of rough terrain there, and as they pile up towards the end of the first lap, Geraldine Pillay keeping an eagle eye on proceedings.
Well, we have the junior men race now, and in this race we have the defending champion Japhet Kuria from Kenya and also another very good runner, William Setonuk. And you can see that earlier on the Kenyans won the women's race, and I'm sure that their teammates will have to follow in their footsteps.
Well, the leader's there keeping an eagle eye on Japhet Kuria, the defending champion. The Kenyan, he's the man to beat. But the Ethiopians smarting after that first defeat in the junior women's race. They lost the first 3 places, and I bet they'd like to change that here.
Yes, they would definitely want to change that, want to get on the podium there as well, and also getting or grabbing the team prize. And I hope that in this race the Kenyans will get the team prize as well as individual prizes.
Well, looking at the pace, one can see it's very, very fast. Up front, these runners are going at quicker than 3 minutes a kilometre, which is road running pace. And this is over the country, and they're juniors.
And they're juniors, yes. And unfortunately, some of the South African athletes have fallen behind. And now they cannot keep up with the pace. And as they go into the final lap, I think the pace will even increase more.
Well, some of the names up front, as the South African runner goes past, Mukhtar Awel, the Ethiopian, Japhet Kuria, and Justine Cheriot, the 2 Kenyans. Those are some of the favourites. And of course, you keep it wet. They do that on purpose because it's got to be hard.
Yes, they do that on purpose. Unfortunately, it's part of the cross country. They have to keep the surface wet, and the runners just have to, endure and keep up the pace and ignore, the wet surfaces.
Well, I guess if you spend your life training in the African Rift Valley up in East Africa, this is a walk in the park, literally.
Yes, it is definitely a walk in the park. And as you see, they're probably coming to reaching the stadium, the finish line, and the athletes are really turning up the gears now. We still have the defending champion in the lead.
Well, all eyes there on Japhet Kuria, wearing vest number 158. But there's just such a big bunch. The Kenyans and the Ethiopians are all packed in there together. And 175 is Topelo Madiba, a little bit further back, around about 25th place. And now it's a big dice. Now they're out there. The Kenyans pushing to the front as they head up into the last section of this race.
Yes, and also interesting, all of them are running with shoes. Like the ladies, the front runners were not running with shoes. So hopefully we'll see a faster time than last year, because the competition is much harder than last year. The Kenyans dominated last year, and now they have the competition from the guys from Uganda, Eritrea, as well as Ethiopia. And as you can see, they're still in a big bunch in front. And let's see who's going to make the break after the final whistle.
Well, they go past the finish line and out into the countryside again. And if you look at it this way, Geraldine, this is almost like a world championship. With no official world champs this year, this is their chance to pick up a big medal.
Yes, this is definitely their chance. And also, the person who wins here would probably be the favorite to win the World Cross Country Championships next year.
Well, they enter the third lap. Moroccans going past. It looks like an athlete from Botswana. The Southern African countries are also well represented. Lesotho is in there, apart from South Africa. I think Zambia might even have a couple of athletes in there. But right now it's all about Ethiopia and Kenya as they set off that big bunch. They run in packs because it's easier to run in a group. They keep the pace, and then the gaps come in. And the stragglers towards the end are really struggling because they don't have people around them.
Yes. You know, an athlete told me that the first few laps everybody is fresh, so everybody can run fast, but the last lap is where it really, really, really counts. And this is where the Kenyans and the Ethiopians kill the rest of the field. And we see that Japheth has moved to the back a little bit now, hopefully conserving some energy to take that last few meters to the line.
Well, the top Ethiopians in there are Hagos Berwe, Cornelius Kangoko, he's a Kenyan, and the other Ethiopian is Fikadu Tsadik. So these are new names on the international spectrum, but remember they're young, and you come back in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, these guys will be champions of the track as well as over the senior cross country. But right now it's a battle between Mukhtar Awel and Japheth Korea, and those two look like they are working hard. 157 is Cornelius Kangoko, setting some of the pace, but really there's nothing to pick between these guys.
Yeah, no. And the beauty of it all is that they have the depth, you know, in Kenya as well as Ethiopia. A lot of new names in the team. Unfortunately, we don't have that in South Africa. You know, we only have a few that we can pick from. But here, you know, I'm sure when we come next year to the World Championships, we'll have new runners as well from Kenya and Ethiopia. And they're the runners taking the last turn, approaching the last lap.
Look at that group, look at them. And the pace, of course, is picking up now. The guys are pushing, it's getting faster and faster, but the guys are still hanging on the back of that group, and it's really heading towards an exciting finish. I can't imagine these guys would finish more than about 3 or 4 seconds between the first and the last of that group. And now the Ethiopians, Awel, Korea, and Bere, and the Kenyans packed into that group, setting the pace and pushing it along. And the Botswana athlete out there doing his best, of course.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's really doing his best. And he's running there by himself. He doesn't have any other teammate there with him. But yes, the front runners are approaching the finish line. And I anticipate a dramatic finish because you can see all of them. It's anybody's game at this point. The one who has the best speed or the fastest legs will definitely take the title.
That's some of that sand you can see underfoot. It's very difficult running on soft sand. Imagine running on the beach, sort of up and down Clifton. You really can't get away. And it's very tiring. And those little hills are put in on purpose to make it tough. And you've got to just lean forward, get your arms pumping, and keep your pace up the hills. Otherwise, the guys will simply run away from you.
Yes, they will run away from you indeed. And if you can look at their legs, it's skinny, but it's very, very strong to go up and down for 4 laps. And even the senior men will go for 6 laps. And there we have Japheth breaking away from the group. But we have the Ethiopian right on his shoulder. And we'll see, hopefully it will be Japheth that can take it all the way to the line and come back for a second title in a row.
Well, Japheth Korea is the man setting the pace, but chasing him is Mukhtar Awel of Ethiopia. It's going to be a sprint finish, and Awel, look, well, he's got his nose in front, and look at that speed. He's just so determined, the set of the expression on his face, and he's going to win this one. That's a surprise. Mukhtar Awel of Ethiopia wins it by 1 second from Japheth Korea. Justine Cheriot third, Hagos Berwe, the second Ethiopian, in 4th place. That was a great race.
That was a great race by the Ethiopian, and I think this is probably the biggest upset of the day because Japheth was definitely the favorite to come here and win the race.
So 6 seconds between the first 5 runners there. What a great finish that was. The South Africans battling a little bit. The first local man through was race number 170. That's Tumasong Manatlala. His teammate, Bella Madiba, wearing race number 175. And the 35th position, a little bit back, but up against the best runners in the world. And well done to Tabela Madiba, getting a little bit of water. And of course, the results there dominated by Ethiopia and Kenya. This is the African Cross Country Championships from Cape Town. We'll be back after this break.